Hi guys, welcome back to my channel, Monkey Wrench. I'm Kelly, the monkey with the wrench. Are you guys sick of seeing me yet? I've been making like 2 videos a day just because I have so much work to do and just stockpiling them so I can release them every couple of days. I've been doing Monday, Wednesday, and Saturdays. Today we're working on this Bolens by MTD riding mower with a 38-inch deck. Just a little garden tractor. I think they call the garden tractors the ones with the motor in the back, like the Bug over here. Yeah, welcome to my inner sanctum. Like the Bug there that I'm rebuilding. The motor's in the rear, steering wheel's up there, seats here. Those are garden tractors. I think that's the differential, how they differentiate. And these are riding mowers. This thing's, from the 90s. It's not new. It's still body-wise in good shape, no rust, anything like that. And a customer asked me if I could locate one. I went and did a house call for him and fixed his chainsaw. That video is already on the channel. And when I got out there, the mower he had, the riding mower, had no compression. And when you're talking about a riding mower these days that in working condition is only worth, $300, $400, you don't want to pay somebody $400 or $500 to tear it down and rebuild it or switch it out with another motor. It's just not cost effective. So I called a buddy of mine who had this tractor, this little riding mower, and the price was right for the customer. And he said all it needed was a carburetor and it ran, and he had already tested it. Well, that wasn't exactly all the information. Apparently that was a while back and it had sat since then. So I went ahead and put the new carburetor on. That's easy. A couple of linkages, a couple of bolts, and then there's an elbow that comes off here and goes into the housing, which is over there on the ground. And we tested out the starter, and the starter didn't work. So once I make a deal with a customer, once I tell him what I want, he told me what he was willing to spend. My buddy said, okay, I'll sell it to you for this. Everything was good. And then I kind of put myself in the middle of that deal, trying to help a friend and a customer. And it didn't go real well for me, because now I'm into it personally out of pocket. Those carburetors aren't cheap, and the starters are just as expensive, and I paid for those. So I'm going to lose a bunch of money on this deal. So give me some love, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. The buddy that I'm working with on this helps me out with a lot of stuff. So a couple $100 out of my pocket's no big deal. I'm not going to up the price on the customer. That's not fair. So he's going to get a mower with, it already had fairly new belts on it. It's got a brand new carburetor, which is $160. I know, I hear it already. You can get a cheap one from China, a lot cheaper than that. That's true. Half the time, the carburetors you get from China don't work. I've had bad luck with those. And the other thing is, with the pandemic and shipping problems, I've had issues where I've ordered stuff and the part didn't come for 3 or 4 months. It's middle of April. We don't have 3 or 4 months to wait to try to save a few bucks. This guy will just buy another mower. So I put my name on it. I got myself in the middle of it. I'll deal with it. So what we're working on right now is the starter goes right there. And my buddy had an identical motor that he kept that had a starter on it, so he brought me that, trying to save me the money for the starter. And that starter was no good either. So the long and the short of it is, had to buy a brand new starter. So there you go. This Just bolts on right there. So we're going to install that. And then I'm going to put the battery in it. You see the solenoid hanging there. I pulled that out so I could test it. I'm going to put the solenoid back. It takes 2 bolts. I'm going to put the battery in it. I'll show you putting the starter on, how easy that is. And then we're going to crank this thing and see if she'll run. Because this is this year's nightmare for me. When something isn't what your friends say it is and it costs you several $100 to give something away. It's painful, but it is what it is. Stand by your word. Your customers will thank you. And I'm sure that I will. I get lots of good stuff. You know, I'm blessed that way. So if I have to do something like this once in a while to help out a friend and a potential new customer, it always comes back to me. This mower, I just did a video on, found it in the trash, and I've already got a guy on the way to pick it up for $100. It didn't cost me anything to fix it. Runs fine. So I always get my money back. It's good flow for the area, and it's good for your customers. So I'm gonna bring you right back in a second when I get the tools out, and I'll show you how this starter goes on. All right, starters are real easy to do on lawnmowers, riding garden tractors, riding mowers, because you can get to them real easy. They're not like in a car where you got to go up underneath the stuff and go around stuff. These are real easy. This is a Torx bit, a T40. Just taking the old bolts out. The hardest part is getting by these damn pins. They are a pain in the ass sometimes. But that's the fun part, right? Trying to get stuff back in where it belongs. Right when I say these are easy to do. That should be it there. And this is a real easy setup on this one. It just has one wire. The solenoid's in the back. Solenoid is in the back. So the connection from the key to the solenoid, from the ground to the solenoid, all that stuff's on the back that I showed in the battery compartment. So for the starter, that's it. So if that's what you tuned in to watch, thanks for stopping by. See you in the next video. Otherwise, as I said, I'm going to hook up the battery. I'm going to put the solenoid back where it belongs on the frame. And we are going to give this thing a quick turnover and see if she'll fire. All right, here's the moment of truth. Now there's no fuel in this thing. And I have no idea when the last time there was. But the tank is bone dry and it doesn't smell like bad fuel. It just smells like plastic. So I forgot to check the oil. I'm not interested in much. It's black. It's not silvery. I just want to make sure there's oil on the dipstick. It's low. It's real low. But there's oil on the dipstick, which means there's enough for what we want to do. And all I want to do, the brake is on. I'm going to take a little bit of fuel, jam it down her throat, and see if she'll be a good girl. Here we go. Oops. That starter got stuck in the up position. Bendix Y. Okay, that's interesting. Alright, she fires up. I don't know where that starter got stuck in the up position. got stuck on the flywheel. Seems to be turning just fine. But the next step's going to be, let's put a little bit of fuel in the tank. Let's see if she'll run on her own. The fuel line is not connected. So let me put that on real quick. The fuel line is not long enough. Wonderful. I'll bring you back in a second. All right. Here's a secret trick about fuel filters that most people are not aware of. If you have a mower, a riding mower, commercial mower, zero turn, doesn't matter. If that mower has a fuel pump, then it's a pressurized system. The pump forces fuel from the tank in whatever direction your line is to your carburetor. You can use these fuel filters. These are paper inserted fuel filters. They're more expensive. If it is not a fuel pump, and you'll be able to tell by where your fuel line goes. If it's gravity feed, you must use one of these cheap red filters. The only thing inside of that is a little piece of mesh, like a screen, a real fine screen. And all that does is prevent big particles of dirt from going from your tank into your carburetor. Now the reason is very simple. When it's gravity feed, there's not a lot of pressure on the system. However high the tank may be full, that's how much pressure it can put on it. But it does not have enough pressure to push the fuel through this paper filter. It just doesn't. So what you'll get in most cases, half of you will buy these more expensive filters because that's what you've been told to do your whole life, and you'll put that in the line and it'll start, but it won't run. Okay, it'll die pretty much right away. If you leave it for a while and this filter finally fills up, like a Brita pitcher, it takes a while to filter the water through it. So if you leave it overnight, you come out, you start it up, hey, it's running, okay, whatever was wrong with it I guess is fixed. And then you go throw it in gear and start cutting your grass, and as soon as it runs out of the fuel that it put into this filter, the engine dies and you can't figure out why. And it comes down to these filters. These filters are great filters. They're paper filters. They're double lined inside. They are to keep lots of stuff out of your carburetor. That's why they're more expensive. The problem is you can't get fuel to go through them if you have a gravity situation. So if you have a riding mower, just like this with no fuel filter, or with no fuel pump, then make sure that you use screen only. That will not restrict the flow of your fuel, and you will be okay. Now in this case, I'm going to be replacing this whole fuel line, but for the moment, I just want to see if I can get fuel into the carburetor. It's a new carburetor, and I want to see that it works. And fuel line is cheap, and it won't be going to waste anyway. So I just want enough line. And these red filters, doesn't matter which direction you put it in, all it is a screen. There's no air brake, there's no bullshit with it. It's just a screen to keep particles out. So all I done was take and put a red filter and a little extra piece of fuel line. We're gonna put some fuel in the tank, and we're gonna see if she'll run on her own, which she should. It's got good compression, got good electrics. We just had it barking at us. Got a brand new carburetor and a brand new starter. I don't expect any issues with this thing. Who knows how long it's been sitting, so when it does start up, it might smoke a little. You just never know. But the smoke should clear within a minute or so. And let's see what she'll do. Brake's still on. Now it's going to take a minute for the carburetor to fill. I'm going to see if I can help it along and prime it. We're going to give it another couple of tries. That starter is getting stuck and I don't know why. I'll have to deal with that. That is not going to work for me. That starter's going to have to go back. Yeah, that's a faulty starter. The Bendix keeps trying to kick the gear up and down. It won't stay up. I'll have to deal with that in a few minutes. Let's see if we can get her to run. Because I am out a shit ton of money on this project. And it pisses me off. I'll bring you back in a few minutes. Spending 20 hours to fix something I'm losing money on. Alright, we're back. The fuel was not running from the tank through the line. So I replaced the fuel line. And even that wasn't running. There was something in the new line, so I had to squeeze it and work it and blow it, and finally got that free. So now we got the line hooked up. We'll deal with the starter problem after. Let's see if she'll run. We'll deal with the starter problem. We'll deal with it. I'm not sure why it's doing that, but you know, when you pay 60 bucks for a starter, you expect it to work. Even the headlights work. Well, I would say that it runs good. It sounds good. It's not smoking. That brand new starter is going to piss me off to no end, but we're going to try and figure out why that keeps jamming. For some reason, when it throws the Bendix up into the gears, it wants to go up and down, and then it's getting stuck, and one tooth is hitting a tooth on the flywheel and jamming into it. So I'm going to have to figure out why that's happening. It could be a spacer issue. Maybe there's supposed to be a spacer behind it. I will deal with that, and I will... Well, if you want to know how I figured that out or what I do to fix it, write a comment down below and ask. But I think we're good. I'm going to take this thing for a drive and see if the blades engage, see if the transmission works. So hang on a second. I left the hood open in case I have to mess with the starter again. Let's see if she'll drive. I have not seen something like that unless it was an old one and it needed to be lubed or something. This one's brand new. And it's getting stuck. I don't understand why. Alright, bring you back. slow to take off. It's been a while since it's run. I tried engaging the blades and I don't even know if they engaged. It didn't make any noise. So I'm gonna have to put some weight on the seat, engage the blades, and find out if they work. Okay, I took the front of this thing off, which is bolted on, old style, to see if the machine was vapor locking because the starter wasn't engaging correctly. It wasn't. The plug was dry. I put a new plug in it because the plug was all dark and shitty. And I've started it a few times since. I had to change the battery. The battery that was in it, I'm not sure if it was going dead too quick and it didn't have enough power to turn the starter. Now the starter's still getting jammed here and there, but if I wiggle the key a few times, it usually works its way free. So I'm going to deal with that after the fact in another video. But it almost seemed like it was vapor locked because the starter barely had enough power to get it past the compression stroke. So once I found out by pulling the plug that there was no fuel in the cylinder to vapor lock it, I knew it was just a half dead battery. So that should take care of the issue. Now I tried engaging the blades and the pulleys on the deck are not moving. I'm going to have to pull the deck out from underneath, clean all the pulleys, they're all caked in mud, grease them up, get them to move correctly, and then see if they'll engage properly. But that's going to be another video. I'm not even sure what the hell to call this one. But there's a new starter on this thing and all the fun stuff that went with an old riding mower. So, thanks for stopping by. See you soon.